What would you do if a seemingly harmless gift felt more like a threat? For Nadia, a single flower was just the beginning. Nadia had always been cautious when traveling, especially on long drives at night. But one stop at a roadside motel changed everything, leaving her with questions that still haunt her. It started when Nadia's car broke down late at night on an empty stretch of road. With no cell service and no towns nearby, she spotted a flickering motel sign in the distance and decided to walk there for help. The motel was as run down as they came: faded paint, broken lights, and a receptionist who barely glanced at her as he handed her a room key. Exhausted, Nadia didn't care. She locked the door, threw her bag onto the bed, and fell asleep almost instantly. But at 3 a.m., she woke to the sound of soft tapping. Her heart raced as she glanced at the door. The knob was rattling slightly as though someone was trying to open it. Nadia grabbed her phone and approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. No one was there. When she finally opened the door, the only thing she found was a small white flower hanging from the knob. Confused but trying to stay calm, Nadia picked up the flower and tossed it onto the nightstand. She convinced herself it was just a harmless prank, or maybe something left by mistake. Still, she locked the door again and placed a chair under the handle, just to be safe. The next morning, she packed up quickly and handed her key back to the receptionist. "Who left the flower on my door last night?" she asked. The man frowned. "Flower? We don't do that here." Feeling uneasy, Nadia brushed it off and headed to her car, relieved that it had been towed to the motel overnight. But as she opened the door to get in, her stomach dropped. Another white flower was sitting on the driver's seat, its petals pristine despite the dusty interior. Her heart pounded as she scanned the empty parking lot. No one was there. She grabbed the flower and threw it out, slamming the car door before speeding off. Hours later, as she neared her destination, Nadia finally began to relax. The memory of the flower seemed distant, almost absurd. But when she pulled into a gas station and stepped out to stretch, she froze. A third flower was sitting on the windshield, placed delicately under the wiper. Her breath hitched as she looked around, scanning every car and shadow for a sign of someone watching. But there was no one. When she reached for the flower, a folded piece of paper slipped out from beneath it. With trembling hands, she opened it. The note read, "You can't outrun me." Nadia's vision blurred with panic. She jumped back into the car and drove without stopping until she reached her destination. But even as she pulled into her driveway, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. Nadia eventually sold her car, convinced it was cursed. But the flowers didn't stop. They began appearing at her doorstep, on her desk at work, even inside her locked apartment. To this day, she doesn't know who or what is leaving them, but she's afraid of the day she finds out. What would you do if you couldn't escape a warning? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more chilling tales of the unexplained.